financial resources dependent on national security. So we were 17 times at the end of our national security problem. And I will tell you how.
The organization has. So we're talking about how the board behaves, or in some cases, how they misbehave, because that also happens, rather than the tax they give.
Very rare Yoruba names that I know.
I tell you, I've secured the name and content. Hello. Atypical of similar occurrences dotting a landscape, which occurs once a while and becoming much more regular, regrettably, the ICAN on air hereby express her deep condolences to our brothers and sisters who were martyred lately in our Ondo State, Nigeria, on that fateful day of worship. Investigations are going on, and we know professionals of all hues and cries will be involved in that act, including, of course, members of a noble profession of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. ICAN and Council therefore say condolences to us all in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, for members of the families involved in that day of infamy. And may it be well with our nation, Nigeria. And now I bid a warm welcome to all at this episode of ICAN on Air Enlightenment Series. And today, the disruptive mood. Yeah, you heard my opener there. It's the disruption. Well, the disruptive mood in the atmosphere drives us to examine the topic, creating competitive business enterprise in times of uncertainty. Creating competitive business enterprise in times of uncertainty. Business leaders are continually in a challenging position. On one hand, they have to deal with issues calling for urgent action, such as sustainability and climate change. On the other, they are facing the challenges of uncertainty as different simultaneous variables impact on future scenarios. Do I hear you, mortal VUCA? Oh, yeah. Volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and just mention it, complexity. Joining me on our question and answer segment to drive practical insight into this subject is Mr. Joshua Ogbimi MBA, FCA. Joshua Ogbimi is CEO of Berkeley Consulting Limited, a one-stop shop for back-end professional support services in accounting, taxation, training, and people resourcing. Earlier in his career in Total Energies Nigeria, he was straddling different units of that company and was climbing through various units of the company, ending as general manager, human resources, before his retirement in 2012. We shall unveil him to you here shortly. Also on this program, we will let you into our ICAN diary of events, a few announcements about your foremost institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. So please stay connected. We shall be back with you very shortly.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study Exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Joshua Ogbimi, FCA, you are welcome to ICAN on Air.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to see you here. And looking at these disruptive issues surrounding the business enterprise and how they thrive in uncertainty, may you allow me to frame so that we know how the flights will be from the onset, with seatbelts securely fastened, listening boards all clear, for us to understand where the destination will be. I like to frame it by saying that when you look at the phrase and you say doing business in a volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, so-called VUCA environment, I always always want to add D, and as disruption is become such a buzzword amongst corporate leaders. What will it really mean? And please, can you describe the attributes of a competitive business? How can business entities survive in this unpredictable environment? And what factors can impede the success of businesses in the VUCA world?
Thank you very much, Akin. The question is loaded, it's in parts. I think I will take them one at a time. Yes, the phrase doing business in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment, VUCA, really has become a buzzword among corporate leaders. No doubt about that. Of course, VUCA, like you have said, is an acronym for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. You know, VUCA describes several factors that attempt to explain the unpredictability and the changing nature of the business environment today. VUCA, as a phrase, is not really new, at least as old as about 2 decades ago, but it is gaining momentum and prominence now because of recent happenings in the world. I'm sure when you mention uncertainty, almost everybody has an idea of what uncertainty means. Because even in our country, Nigeria, we have so many events that happened in the recent past that one was not sure, that one could not really predict. Okay, now let's take the first part of the question. What does this really mean? what does VUCA really mean? What does volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity means? Let's start with volatility, the V in the VUCA. It refers to the fact that we live in a world that is constantly changing and becoming more unstable. It implies the pace of change in a business environment in which changes become more and more unpredictable, more drastic, and even more rapid. High volatility is synonymous with instability and turbulence with the attendant risk. When you have instability, you have turbulence, of course. There are risks that will naturally follow. Now, volatility can be challenging, really, for organizations to tackle, but it also has the potential to open the doors to creativity and innovation. Eventually, as business leaders produce out of the box, it forces business leaders to think out of the box in order to drive a strategy that can still give results. As a business leader, you will not run away from problems, you will not run away from uncertainty, but to open your eyes to looking at various options that will give you solutions to where you want to be. Now let's look at the U in the VUCA, uncertainty. Uncertainty stands for the rapidly decreasing predictability. I said decreasing predictability. That means we are unable to predict the future. We are used to the statement, experience is the best teacher. But today, experiences from the past as a basis of shaping the future are becoming more unreliable today, because times are changing so fast that the experiences of the past will no longer be useful as we used to have it. Investment and growth plans are almost impossible in a highly uncertain environment. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic ushered in uncertainty in no small measure in the global environment. Governments and business leaders across the world struggled and are still struggling to interpret the evolving market conditions in order to implement necessary measures. And in fact, the Russia-Ukraine war has added to the level of uncertainty in the world of business. No thanks to the sharp increase in the price of diesel, even in Nigeria. Nigeria is part of the world and cannot be excluded from VUCA, the uncertainty that you have all around us. Now, what are the C in the VUCA? The C in the VUCA represents complexity. Complexity, something that is complex, difficult to understand. Complexity refers to the several factors at work in a business environment at the same time. Complex, the relationship among them and their impact on one another. Today, cause and effect relationships are becoming more confusing and difficult to understand. A large number of different and interconnected factors increase the complexity of the business environment. When complexity is high, it is not possible to completely analyze the environment and reach rational conclusions as quickly as desired. To succeed in a complex VUCA environment, business leaders need to adapt their business to the evolving conditions. You cannot remain where you are. If the tides are changing, you have to change with the tide. Now, I had a story of somebody who was running on a moving object. You are running. The object is moving underneath, but you are running. Because if you don't run, you will fall. To remain in one place, you will fall. But you need to run so that you don't fall. So if you are in a business environment that is changing so rapidly, you can't do nothing, because if you do nothing, you will fall. You have to just do something to adapt to the situation. What of ambiguity? What does ambiguity really mean? Ambiguity stands for lack of clarity. It's not clear, very ambiguous about how to interpret situations and circumstances. Ambiguity is real when we lack information, we don't have relevant details, or when available information is contradictory or too imprecise to draw clear conclusions. It refers to confusion and vagueness in ideas and terminology. The more ambiguous an environment is, the harder it becomes for organizations and business leaders to decode and make important decisions. The response to ambiguity includes exploring multiple options, evaluating their viability, and making necessary adjustments. That means that you don't rush into a conclusion when you are in an ambiguous environment. You have to take your time. Now, the four elements of VUCA are actually interrelated. For instance, a volatile and complex market is susceptible to frequent changes, which might give way to uncertainty and ambiguity, making situations difficult to understand and interpret. So they are related. Now let's look at the second part of the question. To describe the attributes of a competitive business. The attributes of a competitive business. Our topic again is creating competitive business enterprise in times of uncertainty. So what are the attributes of a competitive business? A competitive business is not just about competition with others. It is a business that can sustain itself and grow despite the rapidly changing business environment. Business competitiveness is the ability of a business to deliver better value, quality, service to its customers than its rivals. Now, there are common attributes usually associated with businesses that are competitive, and they include: 1, growth and continuous improvement mindset. Growth and continuous improvement mindset. A growth mindset is ready to face challenges. A growth mindset knows that there's almost nothing that cannot be achieved through adaptation, through learning, and so on and so forth. Continuous improvement must mean that you are always trying to improve on your own standard. You are not comparing yourself with others. So there is no that I'm the best in my profession. Doesn't arise when you're looking at continuous improvement. To be competitive, you must seek to be better than who you are. You must seek to deliver more value to your client and your customers. That's a continuous improvement mindset. Of course, you must have a unique value proposition. What's your product? What are you selling? How are you different from others? Why should people even come to you? What is the value of your service, of your product to the users, to the consumers? What value should they derive from it? And that is the key thing. It's not your cost. It's not your own value. The value that customer will derive from it. That makes a business competitive. And that point is tenacity. You have to be tenacious. You can't run away because you have some challenges. That will not be a competitive business. There are bound to be issues. There are bound to be problems. There are bound to be challenges. How you solve these problems, how you face these challenges, make the business competitive. You must be customer focused. The business of the customer focused. Focus on the customer, not on the business, not on you. What is the added value to customers? Don't sit down in your office and begin to imagine what is good for the customer. Look at it from the customer's point of view. What is important to him? That is what you should deliver. Effective marketing. You know, if you do a business and you don't market it, nobody knows what you are doing. So to remain competitive, you should be able to market your business. And indeed, every entrepreneur is a marketer of his business, of his services. and a vision understood by employees for top to bottom consistency. And when I say vision here, it's not just a vision statement. The vision of the owner of the business or the manager of the business should be understood by the employees. How? How can this be? It means that the business leader or the manager has to really get employees buy-in into that vision so that they see it as part of what is expected of them. Another point is passionate managers who get employees excited by organizations' products and services. If employees of an enterprise don't even value the product, don't have regard for it, don't use it, don't advertise it on one-to-one, then there's something wrong. You must get managers who will be passionate about the product of the business. Then employees will be empowered, especially with Generation Y and Z employees. Young people, the way you manage young people is different from the way you manage people who are older. The younger folk expect to be empowered. They expect to be given some free hands to do some things for you. Tell them what you want and don't tell them how you want it. Give them the objective, the result, and then they will get it out for you. And finally, as an attribute of a competitive business is adaptability and resilience. We've talked about that also. Now let me go to the third part of the same question. Like I said, the question is in several parts. How can business entities survive in this unpredictable environment? That the environment is unpredictable is not in doubt. I'm sure it's understood by all. But how can business entities survive in this unpredictable environment? The CEO of Microsoft once said that the role of leadership today is to bring clarity in uncertain times. The more uncertain things are, the more leadership is required. There is no job description for what we are facing, no rule book. Today's leaders need to thrive in the face of this uncertainty. So if you are stuck to some rules and regulation, job description, then you'll be far away from the reality, because the changing circumstances, the volatile environment will bring in new dimension on a daily basis that you need to crack your brain, to sort out as quickly as possible. Entities have to be agile. Agility is important, and have to be agile to survive in this unpredictable business environment. Agility includes ability to quickly evaluate changing business environment, changing conditions, and profiling alternatives. Now, in addition to interpersonal skills, which means interpersonal skills are very important, but in addition to that, some experts have recommended some traits for managers to successfully navigate the VUCA world. And one of them is openness to change. Are you ready to change? Because if you are not open to change, then you can't survive the VUCA world. You have to be open to change, to new things, to new environment, to new information, to new knowledge. We're willing to learn and all that. Then adaptability, very key. You have to be able to adapt to a new situation. Transparency, resilience, creativity, candid communication. You must communicate, because if you don't communicate, people around you, your team, will not be able to go along with you. Then continuous learning. There is nothing like I already know it. Continuous learning. Like I said, you must learn to improve on your own self, on what you have known before, if you want to survive in this VUCA world. Then scenario planning. You must be conversant with different scenarios, playing the devil's advocate. What is scenario? What of this? Because at the end of the day, you may need to test, you may need to evaluate different scenarios before you are able to conclude and take a decision that is worthwhile.
Beautiful. Mr. Ogbimi, I know you have captured the end from the beginning, and that looks good. If you are just joining, we are looking at the subjects of creating competitive business enterprise in times of uncertainty. And as Mr. Ogbimi has said, it just reminded me of Eleanor Roosevelt when she made the point that some entities make things happen, some watch things happen, while others wonder what happened. And the way and manner Mr. Ogbimi has elucidated. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we fire more of the critical questions on this segment of question and answers ICAN on air. Please don't go away. We'll be back with you shortly.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, Joshua, in looking at the broad framework that we have given, the vision, the mission, strategic thinking, communication, setting it out in the VUCA environment, I'd like to draw attention to supply chain management, which I think is critical to creating a competitive business enterprise. I want to find out if you agree. If you agree, why? If not, why not?
Okay, thank you very much, Akin. Yes, the first answer is yes, I agree. Really, there is especially business that have to move goods from one place to the other. Supply chain management is an essential part of the process. You know, supply chain management is the handling of the entire process flow of goods, starting from raw materials all the way to delivering the final products to the consumer. Transportation, delivery, warehousing, and other logistic requirements between production and consumption. How can a business survive if there is no management of the processes that occur between when goods are produced and when they arrive at the final consumers? So supply chain management includes all activities related to getting specific product from raw material through distribution network. And so it's key, I agree that supply chain management is critical to creating a competitive business enterprise. I agree completely with you.
Beautiful. So if supply chain management is on the debit side, not necessarily the negative side, we can then be talking about technology being on the credits or positive side. We know that technology has refined the market of most business, both in terms of time and space. How do you think entrepreneurs can leverage this emerging technology to enhance their competitiveness? And what is the place of social media in building a competitive business?
Thank you very much. This is an interesting question because today, without technology, it's like one is not in business. Times have so changed that perhaps in the past you could do a lot of things without modern technology, but that time has gone. I'm sure gone forever. But how do you get entrepreneurs to leverage emerging technology to enhance their competitiveness? How do you get entrepreneurs to be interested in it? First, deliberate education on available technological options suitable for the entrepreneur's business. You are an entrepreneur, you must be educated. Make yourself available to be educated on the new trends in your business because competitors are using technology. So if you are not there, you'll be left behind. Second, invest in tools as well as training on their use. You have to be trained to be able to use them. Third, allow technology to be the business process to be competitive as every other uses technology. The use of technology to facilitate business success has become indispensable today as technology-driven innovation leads to long-term growth and competitiveness. You know, especially when you are into repetitive processes, if you don't have technology to handle repetitive processes, it will be prone to errors, prone to mistakes, and I can tell you your business cannot be competitive in that situation. Now, what is the place of social media in building a competitive business? Social media has become a taking for granted. Really, as a matter of fact, there is nobody who is almost 98% of Nigerians who have phones are on social media today, one form or the other. The use of social media is critical to the success of a business. If your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business. That's what Bill Gates says recently. If your business is not on social media, your business will be out of business. If customers and competitors are on social media, then you have no business not being on social media. So social media has come to stay, and every business entrepreneur should have a way of building the use of social media into the process, reaching out to customers, reaching out to all manner of people that you need to get in touch with to enhance your communication process and make things easier.
Super. Joshua, thank you very much. I just have to try and remind our online participants who can send in your questions so that our guest, Mr. Joshua Ogbimi, can answer them. I'd like to draw your attention back to R&D now, research and development. And it's a given that when you invest in research and development to produce natural innovation that will provide business entities with leading edges in their various markets. Mr. Ogbimi, how do we get businesses to appreciate this fact?
Yeah.
And can improve relationship and collaboration between the town and the gown help in this respect?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Really, research is a challenge. This is a challenge in Nigeria. Even big corporate organizations are reluctant, to invest in research. How do we get business to appreciate this? In my view, I think that a kind of advocacy on the importance of research in the development and growth of the economy by relevant government agencies may be useful. Big organizations can also be encouraged by government to invest in research and development in collaboration with industry of choice. If those who will use the result of research are not involved in it, then there's a loophole. Now, can improve relationship and collaboration between the town and GAN help? My response is yes. Relationship and collaboration between the industry, that's the town, and universities, the GAN, will help both sides to agree on what is important for research work. You can imagine what it will mean when a university and an industry agree on what is required and research is carried out. That research result will be used almost immediately. The need for those who have worked in the industry and those that have served in the public sector to join the university system cannot be overemphasized. One of the major problems confronting our nation today is graduate unemployment. Graduates are becoming more unemployable as they lack the skills required in industry. There's the argument that what is being taught in schools are no longer relevant to the industry and the world of work. So you can see that collaboration between the town and GAN, between universities and the industry, will be of tremendous help in promoting the value of research in our economy.
Fantastic. Excellent. And what better testament can yours and my institute, Structural Accountant of Nigeria, show the whole world in the collaboration between us and the Bank of Industry recently when we launched the BOI Hub. More and more of real industry is coming and seeing the critical and the very important nature of coming to the institute that will help to disseminate professional education. And so that takes me to this issue of looking at strategic thinking. They talk about strategic thinking. Some people say it's critical thinking. What is the place of strategic thinking and critical thinking in times of uncertainty?
Thank you very much, Akin. Now, what is strategic thinking? Sometimes we use these words, strategic. What is strategic thinking? Strategic thinking really requires, smartness and decisiveness in choosing a plan and sticking with it after evaluating diverse options. You have a strategy in mind, you have a strategic objective in mind, and then you think around what you need to put in place to achieve that objective. Critical thinking involves gathering and evaluating information from as many sources as possible to arrive at the best solutions that address perceived challenges. So you can see strategic thinking and critical thinking are linked. When you start to ask questions, what if questions, at different scenarios, you are now in the realm of strategic thinking, of critical thinking rather. So strategic thinking and critical thinking work together to examine scenarios before arriving at a decision, including playing the devil's advocate. That is why in some strategy sessions, thinking sessions, you deliberately ask questions that may even be negative so as to expose the issues under consideration to various options that can be discussed. If you think through some what-if scenarios, what if it is this, what will happen? If it is that, what will happen? If you think through such scenarios, you can create an action plan that is flexible enough to flow with whatever happens in the future, irrespective of the uncertainty. Consequently, in my view, strategic thinking and critical thinking are indispensable in times of uncertainty.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Can we go away from the textbooks and come back to the laboratory, which is one of the things, as my professional colleague, the Institute of Chartered Accountants get us into, that is looking at the practical. Learn it, the theory. Now let's get back into the application and practice. I'd like to ask you that from your rich experience, what will you, based on what you found out there, what would you be recommending as strategies for building a competitive business? And especially with reference to SMEs, how can they imbibe, how can they embrace, and how can they implement some of these strategies that we normally turn out in big Turinchi grammar, like one of my professors back in university would say? How can they imbibe it? How can they assimilate it, for their competitiveness in business?
Thank you very much for this question. Really, for SMEs in particular, for business enterprises, for people who want to go into business, there's a lot of work to do to build a competitive business. As a matter of fact, the preparation for building a competitive business for an entrepreneur should start before the business starts. The preparation for an entrepreneur to have a competitive business should start well before he starts the business in practice. What will be the first step? If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to think like one. You need to examine your thought process. How do you think? Do you know what entrepreneurial mindset entails? Are you afraid of failure? Do you see failure as part of success? Are you stereotyped? For instance, that the economy is so bad that no business can survive. Is that the way you think? Or do you think that no matter how tough the economy is, based on your effort, you can survive? Then you must do you must do a personal SWOT analysis. Who are you as a person? What kind of person are you? What is your personality trait? What is your strength, weakness, and all that in SWOT? We won't go into all that. But the real thing is, what kind of person are you? What kind of temperament are you? It will help to begin to determine even the kind of business you will need to go into. It's not every business that is good for everybody. Yes, we want to go into a business. Yes, you are probably looking for money, even though money is not the first thing. But you have to determine, based on your personality and your interest, what kind of business you want to go into. Then you must develop a true vision. Not just vision statement, a vision, a picture of the future. Not just abstract vision statement. What are you seeing? Where are you expected to be with this your business? And then you must select a suitable and sustainable enterprise based on your personality, your experience, your knowledge, and everything all about you. And of course, you may need to do an initial study, an initial feasibility study, even hands-on experience. You don't have to do a business plan before you start a business. You can start a business, hands-on, a small scale one, and by the time you are now writing a business plan, you have real experience to be part of the business plan. You will have developed some interest and you will have overcome some challenges before you think of a business plan. And of course, talking about a business plan for a competitive business, the business plan must be realistic and able to attract investment and serve as a guide to management. We don't write business plans just for the purpose of securing facility from, no. Yes, it can attract investment, but it must be realistic such that when you start the business, you are able to be guided by the business plan. And of course, invest in appropriate technology and a business structure. What is the structure of the business? Is it a partner? Is it a one-man business? How many employees will you do? Record keeping and all that. And of course, strategic partnership will be helpful. But how do you get SMEs to embrace this, what I've just said above? It's not quite easy, but I will advise SMEs should get a mentor, especially for new people who want to go into business. Get a mentor in your area of business. Then avail yourself of training opportunities and seminars. And then look at your current status, growth mindset, like I've just said, market and customer analysis, and then ownership structure. These are things that we need to get SMEs to imbibe, to embrace, to be competitive in their business.
Super, fantastic. And Olusoji has just put one out there. Shosan Olu is asking that you should kindly shed more light on this concept of new normal in the competitive business environment. New normal.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, the concept new normal actually came after COVID. You know, when COVID started, even the Zoom, perhaps even this platform we are using, did not just come, they were there, but we're not using them the way we now use them. But when COVID came, everybody was forced to think outside the box, to think how to reach out to audience, reach out to customers, and it became the thing. You know, there was a complete lockdown at a point, even in Nigeria, no going out at all. And so that became a new normal. That was not the situation before, a new normal. So today, the new normal is to do what we are doing. The new normal is to have online, to now figure out to reach out to people in various parts of the world without physical contact. The new normal, in fact, has made the world truly one village. So each time we hear the word new normal, it's like things have changed from what we were used to before. But especially these changes became accentuated after COVID. Even today as we speak, there are still issues around COVID, still carefulness, and in fact, the use of nose masks has not been fully removed even from now. If you go to the banks, go to some public places, you must wear your nose mask. So wearing of nose mask has become a new normal also.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. As we move towards ending this question and answer session, I will not let you off easily, Mr. Ogbimi. You know, it's easy for us to be talking about VUCA, talking about uncertainty, like in the practical laboratory, we say, they say he who feels it knows it. And the uncertainty that attract business in Nigeria is such that people have gone to borrow money or done, some crowdfunding, angel investing, taking a lot of what they had worked for by way of pensions and put it in some small SMEs. Now, COVID came, countries of the world was, in the case of Nigeria, were not ready. And so a lot of people lost business, virtually torn into nakedness of such. They've lost everything. I know the incentives that government gave did not cover everybody. And so I speak for those SMEs who will be gnashing teeth and putting their hands in their mouths in agony and sorrow. As professional accountants, what will be your advice for this set of people? They've lost faith. Some in this uncertain world, we don't subscribe to it, have decided to even want to take their lives and what have you. So as professionals, we've seen a lot of these goods, the bad and the ugly. What will be your words to comfort them and bring them back above the line?
Thank you. What I will say, I will simply tell them that when there is life, there is hope. That they should not give up. When there is life, there is hope. There are a lot of things that can be done, even in spite of the challenges and the example you gave. Even recently, the CBN has increased its minimum lending rate, and several banks are already calling their customers that they want to increase interest rate on loans that have been negotiated some months or even years back. You can imagine an uncertainty just cropping up suddenly. But my response to it is that really, when you have life, don't give up. There's always hope. One of the challenges of SMEs is that they don't keep proper record. They don't behave in a way that can attract investors to them. So I will speak to them to develop a new habit of keeping proper record, keeping the accounting record in a way that investors, bankers, lenders will have confidence in what they are doing. They need to know that they need to just be able to keep to rules and regulations. If you have borrowed money before and you did not pay back, my brother, you can't go to the same lender and expect to get something back. So the market is wide, things are difficult, but those who are resilient, those who are tenacious, those who are ready to learn new skills, because we're in a new normal, will be able to navigate the terrain successfully.
Fantastic. And part of the thing that we have told our publics, our governments, policymakers, is that we know how to begin again in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. We talk glibly, and I'm sure our publics are aware of same charter, new chapters that can take you and us imbibing technology, integrity, and accuracy makes you rise again. As I move on, Mr. Ogbini, you always hear that machines do what they are asked to do. You tap your motor vehicle and say, please take me north of Lagos, Ibadan, to the east or to the north. Almost invariably, all things being equal, they will obey you. Where you have a challenge is with people. People hardly do how they were instructed. And so I ask you that, do you consider issue of people, especially recruitment, motivation, right employees, how critical are these to building a competitive corporate entity?
Thank you very much. It's often said that the people are the greatest asset of the company, but you don't find them in the balance sheet, even though they are said of the greatest asset. And accountants are taxed usually. This is your greatest asset. You find the annual report. Where are you representing it in the balance sheet? But however, I mean, that's on the lighter side. Truly, truly, if you ask me, honestly speaking, the people the people in a business make up the critical segment of the company. All the machines, all the softwares, all the program, all the meetings, all the strategies that will be developed are developed by people, are developed by employees. And if people are not happy, if they are not engaged, of course, they will not be able to deliver on their expectations. Now, people are so critical, right recruitment, provision of motivation, environment. That's what we now say, motivation and not motivation. Just provide the environment so that each person, each employee will find his own motivation cue from the environment. Employee engagement practices are critical to building a competitive corporate entity. Employees need to be motivated and galvanized to deliver on the entity's objective, which should certainly include being competitive. Without the people, in my view, there is no business.
Oh, awesome. And we will now just add Shosanlu is now getting back on risk management. That how effective can we manage risk in a certain cooperative business very quickly as we move to a close?
I would say that yes, it's difficult, but it's doable.
Hmm.
To manage risk. Manage risk is not only removing risk. It can be reducing the risk, managing it. I would say it's difficult, but it's doable.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And while we are now trying to put a close to where we are at, may we have your parting shots, your last comments on this subject.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria for ICAN on Air. Initially, when the program started, I didn't appreciate the value. But subsequently, I started using it as a reference point. I started going back on my YouTube to look at previous ICAN on Air program and just play them to be educated. I would like to recommend the program to my friends and colleagues as a tool for learning, for getting knowledge and developing ourselves. I commend the institute, I commend the initiator of this program. And Aki, I must also commend you. I told you at the beginning you have not changed. You have anchored the program well, and I think you are a good choice, to handle this program on behalf of the
Yeah.
institute. Finally, I will the privilege. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're just going to get another disruption. A lot of the things that you have actually said here, technology was going to now play a bit of a yo-yo on us, but we landed safely. Thank you, Joshua Ogbimi. Thank you also to all our online participants. And as I always say, this CSR of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria to share their knowledge, to share their experience for a much more humane, better knowledge-based people continues. And please tell somebody to also tell somebody else, to tell somebody else out in the fringe to join you to come on the ICAN on air. I want to also thank Mr. Ogbimi for his very nice comments, for the initiators, the visionary of ICAN on air. I talk of no other than our immediate past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, who made it a point that while she was going to be doing the hardware, hardcore, she was also going to be looking at the soft element and soft spots, knowledge sharing, entrepreneurship, and this program. Thanks go to all buried under the sea on the iceberg. These are my editorial team that we are going to unveil to you as we move on towards the close of this segment. My chairman of the editorial team, Seun Oderide, amongst others. I thank you for making this to be a continuous thing that we all want to see. And this is not going to be the end. And next on ICAN on Air will be on Thursday, June 9th, year 2022. June 9, 2022. The venue will remain the ICAN online channels, particularly the YouTube and the Facebook. Go out there, like them, you will be prompted, and tell others to also like them. Because an enlightened society is going to be a much more vibrant society that can grow our GDP beyond our imagination. Time remains 6 p.m. West African time. We'll be looking at the subject, unleashing innovation and technology for growth in consulting business. Unleashing innovation and technology for growth in consulting business. We'll be having guesting Joshua Ogbimi MBA, SHRM, HRCI, PMI, NIM, ISM, and LDNI. Joel Omonike Esquire is lead consultant and founder of P4PE Limited, Institute for Professional Excellence, a seasoned business strategist and people development stroke HR practitioner with over 22 years of deep experience covering generalists, specialists, and lead roles in banking, insurance, engineering, telecoms, services, and consultancy sectors. He has an outstandingly built competence in helping individuals and companies achieve their best potentials. You don't want to miss it. And you want to tell somebody to join you to come and take from this fountain on knowledge. May I drop my usual nuggets for today. And I quote, forget about finding your passion. Instead, focus in finding big problems. Now, that's disrupting. Eh? I repeat, forget about finding your passion. Says instead, focus on finding big problems. End of quote. That is attributable to Mark Cuban. And so the sun sets on our ICAN on Air offering for today to resume again on Thursday, June 9, 2022. You'll be the change that you would like to see. And until then, I remain Akin Fatunke, your anchor, ICAN on Air. Bye for now.
of the Almighty God, on ICAN and all its members, on those who have sponsored it, that is First Bank PLC, and all ICAN members who are struggling to make Nigeria a better place, we hereby unveil this roll of honor. May the good Lord bless this building, bless all those who use it. May it be a source of progress and development for our institute and for Nigeria as a nation.
The commissioning of this center is another milestone we have achieved in this presidential year. We would not have achieved the modest progress without the support of all the secretarial staff. Thank you, distinguished colleagues and gentlemen. Esteemed graduates, one of the goals is that after today, you will become ambassadors of the ICAN EDC. We expect you to promote the center to your friends, colleagues, and family members.
And I want to, encourage, chartered accountants or non-chartered accountants to partake of this program. It's actually worth it.